Hello, my name is Enzo,
And I'm Ethan.
and this is Enzo's Theater of the World. This week on Enzo's Theater of the World, we're going to be exploring the history of life on Earth, but in a rather unconventional way. So for each geologic period, I have this animal that I think really is really interesting and really overlooked at times, because a lot of the times when we talk about, like, the Jurassic period, we talk about the giant sauropods, or the Cretaceous period, we talk about T-Rex. I want to take you into the animals who are less known, and just give you kind of an overview of what these periods were like. So let's get into it. So, the history of life begins 3.5 to 4 billion years ago, with incredibly small bacteria feeding off of that energy in thermal vents. In the Proterozoic era, which is 2.5 billion to 542 million years ago, the first eukaryotic and multicellular organisms began appearing. However, animal diversity really began to explode in the first period we're going to talk about, the Cambrian period, from 541 to 485 million years ago, and what became known as the Cambrian explosion, although not by the animals themselves, obviously, because, they couldn't speak, and, they barely had brains. Most life actually resided underwater in the Cambrian period, because plants hadn't evolved yet on land, so continents were dry, rocky, and hot. This period has the first arthropods, crustaceans, mollusks, cephalopods, and vertebrates. And what I want to show you right now, Ethan, is our first animal, and its name is Opabinia. So, please describe for the listeners what you see here.
Yeah, so if you've ever seen like a trilobite, imagine that but with like less shell, like it's pink and kind of like soft. Kind of how do we describe this? Like a shrimp almost, but with more
Yeah.
It's like a weird mutated shrimp almost.
Yeah, so it's a 2.5 inches long, and it's a carnivore with like 5 eyes, and it has a backwards facing mouth, but it's on the bottom of its like head, and it also has a spiky proboscis like prehensile appendage, which has it has spikes, so it looks like teeth, but it spikes. And it's an arthropod of some kind, and it lived on the surface of the seafloor, and it ate small, soft food. Again, I really need to stress the weird eyes. It has 3 on the top row and then 2 on the bottom row, and it's thought this may have acted as some sort of compound eye or whatever.
So what do you think about the Opabinia is kind of what defines the Cambrian period?
Nature was really going on all in with this. This was kind of its throw shit at the wall and see what sticks kind of era. You would never see anything like this in the other eras, because it died after this, but also...
we're on Google Images right now, there's one over here.
Yeah, there's Anomalocaris. There's a whole bunch of stuff I could talk about, but I'm not going to talk about,
everyone's kind of going for the same, segmented body, kind of flappy proboscis thing, and just, in different ways. Kind of in Taco Bell, where it's the same 5 ingredients smashed together in different ways. That's kind of what it is.
Mm-hmm. So the next period we're going to talk about is, and I know we're rushing through this, but also, it's my podcast, I get to do what I want, is the Ordovician period. And a lot of these are actually named for, British-speaking British tribes of the ancient times, because what they did was the rocks from this period were often found in Britain, and so they would in the territories of these tribes. So the Cambrian rocks were first found in Wales, and so because Cambry was the ancient name for Wales, and the Ordovician period rocks were found in the land of the Ordovices, etc. The Ordovician period saw a lot of the Cambrian explosion fauna died off as nature began to regain its sanity, and it saw the first starfish, jawless fishes, land fungi, and land plants. Continents were still really barren, and there were lots of volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. It was initially very warm, but there was a glacial period at the end, which ended in an extinction event that killed off 50% of marine life. And so, the next key animal we have is called Camarasaurus, and,
okay, this one's, it's Think
of
a squid, but a squid wearing a big old dunce cap.
Yeah, but it's
just a big cone shell. I assume the theme of this period is just that everything's going to have a massive shell.
That's not quite the theme. It's just that it's getting bigger. So things are getting bigger. So this one is 23 feet long, and the apex predator of the Cambrian period, for instance, Anomalocaris, was I think at most 10 feet long. So So the Camarasaurus is a cephalopod, obviously, because of the tentacles, and it belongs to the same group as the modern-day Nautilus. And so it has this like long conical shell which houses the body, and there's a head at the opening with tentacles growing from the base. It actually has a powerful beak, and it was probably an ambush predator, and it swam horizontally, if at all, because I know you can't see this because of the format, but it is a humongous shell. It's like a giant ice cream cone.
Let me try to... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6. It's like the shell is like 6 times larger than like the actual body of it. It's like mad huge.
Yeah, and I actually know this species because growing up, I used to watch this series of documentaries called the Walking Wood series made by the BBC, where like they would use CGI and animatronics to like bring prehistoric life like this to life, and this was part of a show called Sea Monsters, where this dude called Nigel Marvin would jump into the sea and he would like come face to face with these like creatures from the past, including this Camarasaurus, which was referred to by its generic name of orthocone. And it's just really surreal because like life is it's just strange because you take a look at the fossils and you have to imagine how they were, and like
so in this era I have to assume that like all of the animals are just getting like way too big. Like it's still working it out, so like because the Camarasaurus does not need 23 feet.
No, it
shell.
doesn't.
It does not. For what it's doing, it can be like 11 feet.
So the next, yeah, by the way, the Camarasaurus did survive into the next period, but we're not talking about it anymore. So the next period is the Silurian period, 444 to 419 million years ago, and it saw huge coral reefs, very warm temperatures, the first jawed fish, bony fish, vascular plants, which are like plants on land, which use, have the xylem and the phloem and whatnot.
They can like stand up, they have stalks
instead of being like algae and stuff. So these jaws on fishes are a very important development because it allows for breaking down of big food and eating of plants and increased offensive and defensive capabilities.
So basically, the things that you think of when you think animals, this is what you start seeing. You think like teeth, jaws, like animal functions, like eating. Like, not just, like, feeding off of, like, algae or whatever. And we're getting, like, big manly stuff now.
But, like, I want to take a break from the vertebrate story because I feel a lot of the times that when we focus on, if we ever even do focus on these periods, it's often like the story of how we came to be and how, vertebrates rule and arthropods drool. And there was this documentary I watched growing up called Walking Wood Monsters, which you can tell from the title. It's very mean towards the stuff which aren't our ancestors. It's like, these ferocious creatures walk the earth and threaten to murder all of us. I'm like,
for all of the praise that vertebrates get, at the end of the day, there's a reason why evolution keeps trying to make crabs.
Yeah, so the key animal for the Silurian period are trilobites, and although they are technically a class, this is my podcast, A, I can do what I want, and B, they're an incredibly successful group of arthropods that survived up until the Permian extinction. So they have like kind of this Batman wing,
they got like a
head.
Batman logo for like
head.
Shell and the head, and the rest is just like a segmented beetle type thing.
Yeah, and they
I don't know if
they're
I'm
accurate
on this one, but like the what is it, the
horseshoe crabs?
I'm trying to think of what the Alien, in that movie Alien, the chest bursters or something like that. I think they kind of look like that, but I'm not sure.
I didn't watch that movie, so if anyone has watched that movie, like I guess like
were they only on the? They were still only in the water, right?
Yeah, they were only in the water. Oh, I think some of them went on to land, although I presumably wouldn't be too far inland.
Did they branch off into crabs later, or are they
no?
Kind of
they're this entire class went extinct. They had incredibly diverse lifestyles and appearances, and they were as successful as their vertebrate ancestors. So I think that's just worth in mind. I don't like when people like approach the past with let's see where we came from. Like, yes, I get the impulse, but also like there was a lot more diversity than just what gave rise to us, and
also like things have survived for like jawed fish. Guess what? There's still jawed fish today. They didn't go away. They're still here. Sometimes nature doesn't really evolve all that much. You can ask the alligator.
So the next period we're talking about is the Devonian period, and that was 419 to 359 million years ago, and that saw a lot of firsts. The first lichens, tree-like plants, big forests, spiders, millipedes, centipedes, crabs, ferns, and tetrapods, the group containing amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. What happened there was that lobe-finned fish began developing these pectoral and pelvic fins that eventually turned into legs. The key animal here is Tiktaalik, which is nearly 10 feet long and probably or possibly the common ancestor to all of us. And can you just describe what you see here?
It's got like the stupid big old wide face with like it really does. The face looks like a puppet lizard, and then the rest is like a fish with like semi-competent legs.
Yeah, its fins are somewhat legs, and what happened with Tiktaalik was it had sturdy bony fins that allowed it to prop itself up onto land, but really the reason I chose it is because, and I know I said I was going to get away from the, like, our destiny sort of approach to prehistory, but also, like, we've created a lot of memes out of this poor creature.
Mainly about how, it's the first thing to go to land, and it really ruined it for all of us.
Yeah, so, like, there's a absurdist meme here which says, "Stop them! You missed your chance, pal! If you see a horrid beast evolving, push it back in!" And it's this poor Tiktaalik surrounded by spears.
I'm gonna say this, talk trash about trilobites all they want, they did not develop depression.
Or this one, "Kids these days care too much about TikTok and not enough about Tiktaalik, the Devonian era half-fish, half-tetrapod that transitioned vertebrates from ocean to land." And it's the derpy-looking picture of him again.
I really have to emphasize how much his face looks like a puppet. It's just this big, wide face with these derpy little dot eyes in the middle. He looks so dumb. I want to punch him in his face so bad.
Yeah, so... and this final one, it's a cartoon of, like, the Christianity fish symbol, and it's like, "Oh no, watch out, Jesus fish, it's the intermediate fossil Tiktaalik," and it just shows, like, Tiktaalik about to eat the Jesus fish. I
assume the name of the game this era was, like, developing movement, right?
Going into land, yes.
It's, like, also the pectoral and pelvic fins, so they're, like, moving around better. And
so, the next period is the Carboniferous period, so called because a lot of the plants in this period get carbonized, and they get turned into, like, fossil fuels for us to burn and destroy the planet with.
This is the United States' favorite period.
359 to 299 million years ago, filled with lush swamps, high CO2 levels, and the formation of Pangaea, which was one world continent. It saw the diversification of amphibians, winged insects, and the first conifers and reptiles. Our key animal for this period is Meganeura, which is a giant dragonfly the size of, like, a small eagle. Like, there's no other way to describe it. It's terrifying.
It's like a bird-sized insect, and I hate it so much.
Yeah, so, it got this big because of the high oxygen content, because what happens with insects like dragonflies is tubes carry oxygen directly into the tissue, so the more oxygen is in the air, I guess the more it can grow while also being able to fly. It was
so, like, the CO2 levels led to, like...
No, the oxygen content.
Oh, because it said high CO2 levels.
No, it's just...
No, over here.
Well, maybe it was both. I
guess because the plants took in the CO2.
Yeah, and then they've taken the CO2. Yeah, okay, I did ninth grade biology. They take in the CO2, and then they expel oxygen. So that's how it works.
So the plants have more CO2 to work with, so they're making more oxygen.
Yeah, I guess.
So you get this monstrosity, and,
yeah, although it's worth... Yeah,
I hate it.
Yeah, let's move on. That's not nice. The next period is the Permian.
So did everything in the Carboniferous period just get, like, too big?
Yeah, there's another organism.
Are there other insects that got too big?
Yeah, there's a horrifying millipede-esque monster known as the arthropod, which was...
oh, God! It's literally, like a big old, like, fat millipede, and it's longer than the average human is tall. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's 8 feet long.
Yeah, it's like longer than Shaq. This is horrible. Imagine just, like, finding, like, a Shaq-sized millipede.
It's not fun. It's not fun to look at. I don't like looking at it.
I think the worst thing is, like, you know how bug guts are, like, super gross? Imagine, like, stepping on one of these and you find, like, gigantic sized bug guts. That'd be horrifying. I hate it
Yeah.
so much. I'm so glad they went extinct. Rip Bozo.
So the Permian period was from 299 to 252 million years ago. It saw the first beetles, but also more crucially, the first therapsids, which were a group containing our ancestors and, modern day mammals. So the lush rainforests of the Carboniferous became deserts in a lot of parts, leading to the rise of many famous reptiles that we often mistake for dinosaurs, like the sailback Dimetrodon and its more dopey plant-eating cousin Edaphosaurus, which look kind of like a Dimetrodon except fatter and less interesting. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not even here to talk about the other creatures that inhabited, like Diictodon or Scutosaurus. No. We're here to talk about the horrifying carnivore known as Inostransevia, which,
I don't think I'm gonna like what I see.
because, okay, it lived in modern-day Siberia, but you have to understand Siberia was kind of like a desert back then because it was part of Pangaea, and so the positions were different, etc. So this is what we have here, and can you describe what you're seeing?
Oh my god. Maybe like a large image. It's like, imagine like if a saber-toothed tiger was like also like mixed in with a little bit of like T-Rex. And so you have this like ugly, scaly monster that's like not really in either place.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible.
Yeah, and we know it preyed on some like other reptiles like
So
the
is it
Scutosaurus.
it's a mammal, right?
It's
Or
not.
Is it like
It's
it's
a group, part of the group which gives rise to modern day mammals.
Yeah, because like one thing I'm wondering is how do you just like start making milk, right? Like how do
I
they?
don't know.
Like,
I'm not sure they know the answer to that.
Because I can't imagine how you get like the pro, like I kind of get like proto lungs or I don't understand how you make like proto nipples and proto milk ducts.
Yeah, it's sort
And
of.
where did milk come from? Did it used to just be like blood fluid, or and then did it become milk with more protein? Like I don't know, it's weird.
No, because it's like scientists have often been speculating about what the missing link for like a normal mammal and then a bat was like, because what do proto wings look like? Do they just glide? I guess.
Probably because you have flying squirrels now.
That's true. I guess it's not too much of a mystery.
That's not. I think milk is a weirder question. I feel like
I've never seen anyone ask about that question.
Why
but...
not? It's weird, right? Like, milk,
So anyway,
everyone drinks milk.
So what Inostransevia was it was a gorgonopsid, which is a part of a therapsid group known for their long snout and elongated canines. So picture an angry reptilian wolf with a T-Rex head, which is a very weird combo, but you're gonna have to get used to it because this is prehistory.
Imagine like again like a saber-toothed tiger, but imagine if it looked like kind of like a reptile.
Yeah, so it probably hunted out its prey by ambushing them and then biting it, and then following it as it bled out, and then delivering the killing blow after it had bled enough. And you may think this is horrible, but like keep in mind, persistence hunting is kind of how Homo sapiens like hunted their prey initially. So like
to
we
be
are
honest,
in no
that
room.
doesn't sound all that bad, right? Like, I mean, modern day mammals just like bite them and then wring their neck all around.
That's
like
lions do that.
Like, I don't think it's particularly worse.
Unfortunately, an Inostransevia, or maybe fortunately, depending on who you are, was an Inostransevia, along with like 83% of life on Earth, was killed in a mass extinction caused by the Siberian traps and other volcanic events. This was known as the Permian extinction, also known as the Great Dying, and it resulted in increased temperatures worldwide, ocean acidification, and oxygen deprivation in the seas. It is the most severe mass extinction ever, although we humans may be giving Mother Nature a run for their money there. And I just wanted to show Ethan some, depressing photos of the Permian extinction.
It just looks like hell.
This poor Lystrosaurus is starving to death. He has some food, but it's not much. Volcano.
Imagine, like, when the Lion King
Volcano
where
again.
yeah,
like the
Scar
Badlands
becomes the king and everything goes to hell because apparently divine right of kings or whatever. Yeah, imagine that, but now there's, like, volcanoes, too. It's awful.
So the next period we have is the begin. So all of those periods were the Paleozoic era, And now we're getting into the Mesozoic era, famous for its dinosaurs, of course. So the first period here is the Triassic period, 252 to 201 million years ago. And for the first half of this period, the Earth is trying to recover from that Permian extinction. Around the midway to 30 million years ago, you get the first mammals, the first pterosaurs, which are often called, and this is a pet peeve of mine, we often call them pterodactyls, but that's
one of them.
Yeah,
right?
pterodactylus. We call them pterosaurs properly. And of course the first dinosaurs. The Triassic period was hot and dry, and dinosaurs initially were just one of many groups of mammals.
So wait, can you explain
Of reptiles.
Like, I know what a pterosaur looks like, but I don't really get what it like is. Is it like kind of does it have
It's related to dinosaurs, yes.
Is it,
It's an archosaur.
It kind of has a beak, but not really.
It's
Like I need to take another look at it.
There's lots of pterosaurs. It depends on
Like-
which one you want. Some of them have beaks. Some of them have like.
It's so weird, man.
Mouths.
I don't think I can ever get used to like pterosaurs,
Some of
especially when you look at like some of the ones that existed and you find out they had like ridiculously large heads.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about pterosaurs later on in the Cretaceous period, but suffice
It
to
literally
say,
looks like a bobblehead. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. I don't know how they flew. It's a mystery.
they had very hollow bones. We know this. So
You'd still be thrown off balance, I
So-
feel like.
dinosaurs were, in fact, only one of many groups of reptiles in this period. We have the Postosuchus, we have the Ephygia, we have etc., etc. But it would only result in dinosaur dominance when there was another mass extinction, which did occur at the end of the Triassic period. And so I wanted to, instead of focusing on the early dinosaurs, I wanted to focus on a animal which is incredibly bizarre. It is just incredibly bizarre. It is a reptile which lived underwater, and I mean, please tell them what you see.
Wait, I'm just trying to get a sense of scale for this thing. So imagine like a lizard that's
20 feet long.
Yeah. But to be fair, the 20 feet is only because it has like a giraffe neck.
Yeah, it's huge. It has like an absurdly long neck, which is more than over half.
It's like over half of the body length, which in my opinion is kind of cheating. Come on.
It was initially reconstructed as like a pterosaur with a really long tail because no one could figure out what in God's name
And
its
I don't
bones
blame
were.
them. I would never assume that the neck bones are like actually in the neck. How does it work? Does it just like live in the water and then its neck is long enough to just stick out?
So
like,
there's a
whoop?
lot of reconstructions of it, and initially we thought that it lived on land and it just darted its head underwater, but more recent evidence has shown that in fact it does seem to have lived in shallow water. What it did was it used its long neck to sneak up on and then ambush fish, which I don't know how that would work. I feel like I would need to see a video of that happening, but like they're all dead, so we can't see a video.
And then it just sticks its head up above the water when it needs to.
Yeah. So yeah,
I don't like that. I think that's kind of cheating. I think you should stick to if you're gonna be a reptile, then just stick to it and be a normal reptile on land. Don't do this thing where you're like, oh, I want to go back to the water. No, don't do that. It's weird.
if it's any consolation, it did not see the end of the Triassic
Good,
period.
because cheaters never prosper.
So the next period we have is the Jurassic period, made famous, of course, by Jurassic Park, even though most of the dinosaurs in that were from the Cretaceous.
Including the T-Rex.
This is my inner paleo nerd speaking, but really, I don't care. So the Jurassic period really sees the domination of dinosaurs. All the famous ones. Allosaurus, Brachiosaurus,
Okay, not all the famous ones. T-Rex is still
most
in
of the
the
famous
Cretaceous.
ones. Many of the famous ones. Allosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Brontosaurus, which is now its own genus again. Apatosaurus, Archaeopteryx, which is one of the first birds in addition
There's
to
like
being
a
dinosaur.
Archeops. Archeops. that
Yeah.
looks like it.
Dilophosaurus, which Jurassic Park took lots of liberties with, and Stegosaurus.
Stegosaurus is a very cool one because of the back.
Yeah, the sailback.
Which one's the one with the mace tail again?
That is in the Cretaceous period. So we get the first salamanders in this period, but we also get the first birds, and they evolve from a branch of theropod, which are like hollow-bone three-toed dinosaurs. Pangea breaks apart in this period, and the ocean is dominated by these things, marine reptiles called ichthyosaurs, so picture like a reptile-fish-dolphin mashup. That's very hard to visualize, I know, but like, such as the
Maybe
medium.
show me a picture and I can
Yeah.
give it like an image of it.
Yes, so if we take a look at an ichthyosaur, lots of them, yeah, I had trouble
Okay, can you-
describing this.
Okay, it's kind of like I'm trying. Imagine like a dolphin, but on the side it's got flippers like a seal, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's like a not mammal. It's like a reptile.
And it has teeth.
Well, yeah, dolphins have teeth too.
Well, yeah, I guess. But I think these ones are bigger. So, like, and plesiosaurs, which are, like, Loch Ness Monster type reptiles. So the key animal for this period, because of, like, I just wanted to focus on, like, the diversity of dinosaurs. And I feel like this animal is known as Yi Chi. It's 2 feet long, and it is tied, I think, for the shortest dinosaur name, because it has, like, 2 letters in the genus. So, yeah, it's, like...
It's like halfway between a dinosaur and like a real bird. And for one, I'm just happy that we have a normal-sized creature this time instead of some nonsense that's like 11 feet and half of it is neck.
Yeah, it's sort of like, picture a bird, but like it has like...
Like a bird, but with dragon-style wings. It's
yeah,
really cool
with
looking,
teeth.
actually.
Yeah, and obviously the reconstructions vary. Like some, like the one I'm showing Ethan right now really goes heavy on the bird. The ones I'm showing Ethan right now go heavy on the bird aspect.
They vary on whether they go like full bird head.
Or like really dragon type.
Or like really dinosaur head type thing.
Yeah, so Yi Chi is interesting because it's a Scansoriopterygiid, and wow, I can't believe I got that on the first try. Those are theropods with like extremely long third fingers. Some of them use them to like burrow inside trees and get insects, but Yi's third fingers supported a membranous wing, similar as Ethan said to a bat. It had a heavy covering of feathers, and it probably moved through gliding with a few flaps to control movements.
So I have to question, were there, and like the, like, early birds different from Yi Chi that had the feathered wings like normal bats? Yes. Okay, so Yi Chi is not... They didn't have to like do this, mess up, and then go back to the drawing board. Like Yi Chi was doing its own thing. And then...
It's not a bird. It's a dinosaur, but it's related to birds.
Okay, so some birds are going like the modern way, and Yi Chi tried to do its own thing and then died.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's only known from one specimen, so we don't know how long it lived for. We know it was around in the late Jurassic period. We don't know if it survived until the Cretaceous period or not, although I would probably wager not. Speaking of the Cretaceous period is, well, it went out in a bang, shall we say, and it lasted from 145 to 66 million years ago. It saw the first flowering plants and a number of new mammal and bird groups. The continents are mostly in the modern-day position, and it's full of a lot of famous dinosaurs, the rest of the famous dinosaurs.
T-Rex, Velociraptor, Triceratops, Spinosaurus, Ankylosaurus, that's the one with the mace tail.
Parasaurolophus, it's the one with the snorkel head, and Iguanodon.
It's like the 1992 Dream Team. You've got all the stars here. You've got all of the big boys, the ones that you find in your kid's dinosaur tube.
Yeah, lots of these were in Jurassic Park. Parasaurolophus, I know, was in Jurassic Park at one point.
It's all of the cool kids. Like, Stegosaurus, cool, but is it really a Velociraptor? Is it really a Triceratops? You can't beat it. You just can't beat the Cretaceous.
The Cretaceous, famously, or perhaps infamously, of course, ended with an asteroid impact, which was 66 million years ago. The asteroid being, at the very least 10 miles in diameter, which is kind of terrifying to think of. It killed all pterosaurs, sea reptiles, like plesiosaurs, pliosaurs, and mosasaurs.
No offense to the dinosaurs, I would have lived.
And non-avian dinosaurs, along with 75% of all life. So I think we forget, like, lots of times we think, oh, the dinosaurs got killed off. No, a lot of mammals got killed off too. A lot of birds got killed off. All the toothed birds seem to have died in this. So, like, I can't tell you why that happened.
Actually, how did the normal... some of the birds live, right? Because the mammal makes sense because they can bury underground, but the birds have to like fly places, and I don't know how you do that when
maybe it's because they're just generally smaller.
Smog. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe they can go higher above where they can't be affected as much by the smog.
I'm not sure. I'm not a scientist. So the key species for this one is Hatzegopteryx, because we've been talking about pterosaurs, and I think Ethan just needs to see quite how strange some pterosaurs were.
Oh god, I don't like it.
So can you like describe to the... oh, here we go. Can you describe to the viewer, the listener, what is happening?
I'm trying not to vomit. This is horrifying.
It's not a pretty sight.
Where do I... Okay. Some of the recreations vary. Imagine like... it's kind of like a pterosaur, but It walks on all fours like an old man on crutches, which is already not a good start, and then...
Its legs are so thin.
Its head is literally, like... Not its neck, its entire head is, like, the same size as its body. And it looks goofy. I don't know how it lived, and I'm glad it's extinct.
So the Hatzegopteryx is interesting because its wingspan was up to 39 feet long, and it lived at the really tail end of the Cretaceous period, and it lived on what's known as Hatzeg Island in modern-day Romania, and it was likely the apex predator because dinosaurs couldn't swim over there.
It takes one bite and it eats, like, half of the island's food.
As Ethan could see, it has massive jaws, and it had massive jaws, I should say. It's not all around anymore, thank Christ. And it was 18 feet high, and it was capable of flight, which I think is the worst part about this thing.
Okay. I'm officially certain that paleontologists are messing with me. I don't like that. Even if it's true, they should lie to the public and say they couldn't fly.
I'm sorry, I just screamed because there's a horrifying DeviantArt reconstruction of it, which reconstructs it like a vulture with, like, horrifying, like, coloration that makes it look like a rotting corpse, and I want to cry right now. Like, you should never have to see this.
I'm actually, like... This is actually making me feel horrible. I don't like it at all.
Hatzegopteryx fed on dwarf dinosaurs like Meganeura, which...
It's like the size of a giraffe, and it's eating whole dinosaurs.
The Meganeura was interesting because it was like the size of like a child horse. It was like as tall as a human. Well, it's not
That's
like a
how
child
big
horse;
the
it's like a
mouth
teen
is.
horse.
And again, it's only as tall as like a giraffe.
Yeah, and it can eat human-sized things. So, like, if we were around,
It could eat Shaq.
Yes, it could.
Imagine Shaq getting eaten by like a creature that's the size of a giraffe. And its head is literally like half of the body. I don't know how it lives.
Shaq is a legend, but he could not compete with this thing.
Well, you don't...
No.
Unless he fouled Shaq, and then Shaq would miss all his free throws and then get eaten.
Whatever universal force decided to throw an asteroid at the Earth 66 million years ago concluded the age of reptiles, or the Mesozoic, and began the age of mammals, otherwise known as the Cenozoic. So there are 3 periods in this. The first one is the Paleogene, which was from 66 to 23 million years ago. It saw the rapid diversification of mammals and birds as they took over niches vacated by the extinction of dinosaurs and pterosaurs. Saw a lot of firsts. First, primates, carnivorous mammals, owls, parrots, whales, rodents, artiodactyls, perissodactyls, rabbits, armadillos, elephants, rhinos, sloths, eagles, hawks, pigs, cats, deer.
I have to ask, what niche was the sloth doing?
I frankly have no idea.
I guess they needed more space for algae to grow.
Sloths are interesting.
They literally let algae grow in them because they move so slow. I guess because of the dinosaurs, there were less gigantic animals to grow on, so I guess sloths moved so slow that
but you shouldn't say that yet. Because in the Oligocene period, starting in 34 million years ago, one of the largest land mammals ever evolved, and it was called Paraceratherium. It was 26 feet long and 17 feet high at the shoulder, and it was a giant hornless rhino.
It's essentially like a dinosaur size, basically. And, it's like a... kind of between, like, a rhino and an elephant for the body, and
it's as tall as a T-Rex. Just think of that.
Yeah, and then the head is like a rhino, but it doesn't have a horn. Yeah,
it kind of has this, like, prehensile lip thing, which it uses to, like... It probably uses it to, like, graze, to, like, strip leaves and wrap around branches. It ate leaves, soft plants, shrubs.
Now,
it was a herbivore.
If you know me, you know that I'm of the opinion that land mammals should never be that big. That's only for the ocean. So, safe to say that this is very bad.
The Paleogene ended with the death of the Paraceratherium.
Good.
And so we move on to the Neogene period. Now, starting 35 million years ago in the Paleogene period, the Earth had been cooling rapidly, and this cooling would continue throughout the entirety of the Neogene period, which was from 23 to 2.5 million years ago. And the world would enter the famous Ice Age at the end of the Neogene period. Continents look really recognizable now because both Americas in this period are now connected by the Isthmus of Panama, which allows fauna to interchange between the two continents. Sees the first giraffes, bovines, kangaroos, hippos, and a group of great apes in Africa comes down from the trees and begins walking upright, with the genus Homo appearing near the end of the period.
Which one's the first Homo? Frankie grind it.
Homo habilis, I want to say. So that's handyman, as he's known in Latin.
Can we pull up a picture of this? I want to see how close he is to a chimp.
Uh,
Not a chimp, but like a primate.
yeah, so Homo habilis.
Okay, he's getting there.
Oh, it depends. No one's quite sure how much hair he had on him.
I feel like no one, like one of them is literally just a chimp, and then some of them just look like, I don't know, like a dude with fetal alcohol syndrome.
He's in the Marvel universe.
What? Okay, come on.
Don't you know? He's the. Oh, forget it. I don't know what's happening here. No, we're looking at some sort of creature called Moon Boy, who is from
Marvel.
Yeah, I don't know where he's from. Jack Kirby, whatever. It's fine. Anyway, so the key animal for this period is the Thylacophilus. It's 5 feet long, lived from 9 to 3 million years ago. Looks like a saber-toothed cat, but it's actually a marsupial. However, unlike saber-toothed cats, it has like this like bony protrusions at the bottom of its jaw, which it like when it's not like
it's got like a mega chin.
Yeah, it's like a Habsburg chin, except like curving downwards, sort of like a.
This man has
sheath.
like a curve. It's literally a curved chin, like curving in the same direction as the saber tooth.
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's because there's like a bony sheath, so like it will when it wasn't like when it was like resting, it would have had it inside its mouth or whatever.
Look, if you're gonna go saber tooth, go all the way and have it out at all times. Don't half-ass it, man.
So we used to think it was like a carnivore because not a carnivore, like a predator, an apex predator. It looked sort of like a saber-toothed cat because of these like ferocious fangs.
But no, it just did like scavenging or whatever.
Yeah, it has no incisors, and it turns out that's kind of necessary if you want to like kill things. And so scientists
Which ones are the incisors? Is that like the ones that slice up the food?
I think so. So, like,
yeah.
Scientists now think it would, like, use its saber-teeth fangs to, like, slurp up the entrails of, like...
That sounds ridiculous.
Of, like, victims or whatever. I don't know.
How?
No, like, dead creatures. I don't know. The article didn't come with, like, a diagram.
You don't need that to do it. You just bend over.
And slurp, I guess. I don't quite know what their point was.
These animals seem to be way overthinking this whole thing.
So the Thylacophilus was a marsupial, and this group of marsupials evolved separately in South America from the rest of the world. Unfortunately, when the Isthmus of Panama got connected, they were kind of outcompeted by Smilodon, since Smilodon could both scavenge and hunt,
And it didn't have a stupid chin strap.
So the poor Thylacophilus went extinct 3 million years ago, just as our ancestors were getting down for the trees. And now we come to our current period. The Quaternary period. This is the current period, and it started 2 million years ago, characterized by an alternating series of ice ages and warm periods. The last ice age, aka the ice age of the cartoon movies, ended 11,700 years ago. Although global warming will probably exacerbate our current warm period right now to be a very bad warm period, it saw the rise and spread of the Homo genus, with eventual extinction by 30,000 years ago of every Homo species, including Homo longi in China, Homo erectus in East Asia.
And a little known one called Homo sapiens.
Yeah, Homo sapiens survived, for now, and by 10,000 years ago, most megafauna on Earth had gone the way of the dodo, which wasn't extinct yet, but would go extinct by 1700. So the key species for this, just to represent all of the stuff we've killed off, and I know that's a very depressing note, is Megalodapus. It was a giant Madagascar lemur the size of an orangutan. And it looked, like a koala, I guess? It's really hard.
It's like a feral raccoon bear thing. Okay, I have mixed feelings. Okay, that looks
I'm showing Ethan a cartoon. I'm sorry. It's just funny.
They range from either looking goofy or horrifying.
Yeah, like whatever this is.
I'm kind of glad we killed it off, to be honest.
I am not glad we killed it off.
I can't tell because all of the recreations look so different.
Admittedly, the skull does look rather imposing now that I think of it, but like, I can't tell which of these I should be trusting, because which of these is the truth? You should see these. Some of these look like apes, some of these look like giant eldritch abominations.
One of them looks like, kind of like... Alf, the movie.
Yes, oh my god.
I was trying to remember what he's
There
called.
he is! There's Alf! So, like, the Megalodapus was built like a koala, it was tree-dwelling, occupied the same kind of niche. Unfortunately, it went extinct by the year 1420, just a few years before Joan of Arc would get burned at the stake for cross-dressing, due to overhunting and deforestation by native Malagasy peoples, who, as a side note, I may add, the first people to come to Madagascar were, in fact, from, like, Southeast Asia. They were not from Africa, despite it being so close to there. It was from Southeast Asia for some reason. The Africans got there later, and they created the Malagasy people. That's just a side note, which I think is kind of interesting. So yeah, we've killed... I guess the note we're ending on is that...
I guess you could also have, like, chimps. Because chimps are kind of going through a human moment where they're, like, learning how to use tools more.
Yeah, but I wanted to do a conscious choice where I did only extinct species, and chimps, thankfully, are still alive, but if there's one... I guess what the note I want to end on here is that the Earth is warming up a lot, thanks to us. The ocean is burning, climatic disasters are getting increasingly worse and just more volatile, and we've killed off so many brilliant, wonderful and just unique species of plants and animals with our own selfish economic motives and, like, exploitation of the environment, and, like, Mother Nature is cruel, but my god, are we doing a number on her and the planet.
She invented us, it's her fault.
I guess we have differing opinions on this. I, for one, feel very sad knowing that Megalodapus, unlike the other species on this list, was killed off not by natural selection in that cold, hard process, but by people.
But on the other hand, the faster we kill off species due to global warming, the quicker we'll get to a Splatoon universe where squids become the dominant species and we get, like, squid sapiens. So that's gonna be nice.
Yeah, so that's it for this week. Next week, we are going to be... And by the way, I'm doing in case you haven't noticed, I've made it a conscious choice that every episode of this remaining season, because I have decided once I go over to Oxford, that's it for this season until my next break. This is gonna be season 1, and so I've made a conscious choice that the remaining episodes will all be released on a Monday, so you can listen to it as you're going to work or going somewhere or whatever, and going to school, because I'm still gonna be here for August and September, and so. The topic we're going to be covering next week is Catherine of Aragon. You may know her as Henry VIII's first wife, a sad, bitter, abandoned Catholic middle-aged woman, but you don't remember the time that she was put in charge of an army to defeat the Scots, or maybe you do because of the Spanish princess, although I'd rather not speak of that. You probably don't know how much she suffered.
I mean, I think you're overestimating how many people actually watched the Stars Network.
That's true.
The ratings were not great for that.
But anyway, Catherine of Aragon, she wasn't always middle-aged and sad praying the rosary. She was once a young Spanish princess sent over to become Queen of England, with hopes of ruling, and having children. Unfortunately, her dreams, like so many of the other women she'd meet in her life, were dashed by that cruel, sociopathic monster, Henry VIII.
You know, hey, at least she didn't get killed.
She did get separated from her daughter, but we'll talk about that next time.
I think that was very preventable, though.
Yeah, we'll get into a debate.
We'll get into it.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.